What's up, guys? Reslar here from the Value Pack. I am here with Frosty, and yes, it is what it seems. We are going to do a tier list. These things are super hot right now. Everybody's enjoying them. Tier lists are always fun on, random things, so why not do one for BDO? People have kind of been asking us to do a tier list for a while now. I know we've seen a couple comments over the course of however long we've been doing the Value Pack. What, like 4 months or something? I don't know. We just decided to do it, and we'll probably, no guarantees on this, but we're probably gonna make it a monthly thing, where at the end of every month we'll release a tier list video. We might skip if we feel like literally nothing has changed, but I feel like very rarely does literally nothing change from month to month. I mean, usually something changes, so I don't know. That being said, we got S, A, B, C, and D, and then we have pluses. We're not going to be assigning pluses. The only things we can assign are S, A, B, C, and D. What we're going to do is if I give something like a B and Frosty gives it an A, then what we'll do is we'll argue it out, we'll hash it out. If one can't convince the other to agree with them, then we'll slap it in the middle of whatever we've chosen, so it would go into B+. So if I put something at S and Frosty puts something at B and we can't come to agree on it, then it's going to go into A. So it's just going to go into the middle of whatever our two opinions are, if we can't seem to agree on something. I thought that was the fairest way to do it when you're doing it with two people. So, if that makes sense.
And for clarification for myself and the people listening, it's based on what's the curriculum here?
Yeah, so that's what I was about to say. So this is going to be an overall thing. So things to keep in mind when judging a class's overall potential. Large scale, arguably the most important part of the game. PvE, second most important. You can argue the most important, but I would say second most important aspect of the game. Then you have small scale, which is your 1v1s, your 2v2s, all the way up to, I would say, 5v5s probably. And then 1v1 potential, which is probably the least important thing, but it's important to people, but it's not important in the game, which is a real shame. But I mean, we've said that a lot in the Value Pack already, so we don't need to go into that. So those are kind of like the 4 things to think about when you're rating these classes. Large scale capability, PvE, your grind speed, and that's from early game, all the way early game like Nagas, Fogans, all the way up to late game, Hystria, Sicrea, or whatever. What's that place called? Is that what it's called? Is it Sicrea? What is it? I can't remember.
It's kind of what I'm saying. I'm just saying Sicrea ruins.
Underwater place, whatever.
Because no one has Sicrea ruins, I guess. No one knows how to say it, so everyone just says ruins.
Yeah, ruins. So all the way up to history and ruins. So, and then small scale, which is like your tournament style. That's like your 3v3s, and then your 1v1s. So things to keep in mind. All right, starting off, we got Warrior. What are your thoughts, Frosty? Warrior.
All right. So Warrior's obviously solid in 1v1s. It's okay now in PvE after they buffed it, lowered the cooldowns, and it's actually decent in history, although not top tier. And then large scale, it's on the bottom rung for sure. So I would have to put Warrior at like a B.
A B?
Yeah, I'd probably put Warrior at a B.
See, I agree with what you're saying, but I think I value the 1v1 less than you do. Because here's the thing, Warrior's really good at 1v1, but it's not as good as a lot of other classes. It's not as good as Zerker. It's not as good as Tamer. It's not as good as high AP archers.
Mm-hmm.
Like low AP archers that can do fine against, but once they get enough AP, like once they get like 273-ish probably, that should be enough AP to just shred a warrior's block and just decimate them. And I don't know. I don't know the Sork Warrior matchup very well, but I imagine that's probably a bit of a pain as well. Maybe that's more of a skill matchup though, actually, so I might take that one back. But I think there's a lot of classes that are just kind of better at 1v1s. I don't need to mention Ninja, that one's just obvious.
See, I hard disagree with that. I think it sits at the top with Ninja.
Really?
By themselves in 1v1.
You think Warrior is better than Tamer and Zerker in 1v1?
I mean, are we talking like an average player or like someone who's actually good at the class?
I don't know.
Because if we're talking average, like there's really only 4 classes that are good in this game.
265 AP, someone who is competent enough to pull off like good combos. Not somebody who's insane, not somebody who just knows the abilities, but somewhere in the middle.
Right. I think Warrior and Ninja are at the top. So let me give a quick why I put B, because I agree with you. I weigh 1v1s a little bit less than everything else, although I do personally think they're important, but I think overall people don't. So I would put Warrior as S in 1v1. I would put it at B in grinding, and then I would put it at C in large scale. But if I could, I'd give it a B plus and a C plus in those two, which is why I still want it to be a B overall.
I see. This is the issue. Is like I agree with what you're saying, but everything that you're saying is a rank lower for me. I would put Warrior in A tier for 1v1s. I would put them in C tier for grinding, maybe B tier, argument to be made, and then straight up D tier for large scale. So it's like that comes out to C in my head. Anyway, I don't know.
The only reason I can't put it at D for large scale is because good warriors, as frustrated as they are, still pop off. Like more so than good players on other classes, like Lamb, for example. Yeah, they do. I watched George get top.
Aside from 100% into people's backs?
I see George get top 5 every time in Black Rose, and that's a hard guild to top 5 in.
I don't know. Alright, well, starting out strong. I guess this is going in C+. You say B, I say C. It goes in C+. Alright, Sork, next one on the list. What are your thoughts?
I think it's pretty much A across the board. I think it used to be S in grinding, but recently Archer, Zerker, Lan, and Mystic are as good or better. And in 1v1s, it can be S, but by like absolute gods. Otherwise it's A, and then in large scale it's strong, but it's people aren't like trying to get Sorks in their guild. It's just if a Sork comes, like, yeah, we'll take a Sork. They're useful. So I put an A across the board.
Yeah, I actually agree 100%. Their 1v1s are really solid. Their large scale is really solid. Their small scale is really solid. And their PvE is really solid. They're not really super weak at anything, honestly. If we're talking about like a good gear score player, so like 265 AP is what I would consider a good gear score, and a good player above average, you know, I think that it's hard to argue that they kind of struggle at anything. So all right, A for Sork, easy. Zerker, this is gonna be the fun one. What are your thoughts?
You think so? See, Zerker's hard because I think below really good gear, Zerker's bottom tier in just about everything. But once you get to really good gear, it's like top tier in everything. 1v1s, I'd put it at an A, because I think it still gets pretty outclassed by some of the better 1v1. Grinding, I'd put at A. It's really good in just about every spot once you have the same gear as everyone else. And large scale, it's incredibly useful. I realize it's not as fun because Q buff, but in Siege it's super important, and you basically get to Q buff on every engagement because of the death timers. So I also would put that at that one. For me, it's hard between A or S. because people freaking love Zerkers, and it is really hard to deal with good Zerkers. So I'll put it at an A, but know that I'm leaning S deep down in my heart. So I'd say A across the board.
Okay. See, I disagree with you slightly, but I come out to the same conclusion, actually. I would put it at A as well. To me, Zerker large scale is a B. I know Q buff is strong, I know ulti is strong, but outside of that, they're just not that good. Like, they're fine, they're okay, they're not weak by any means in large scale without Q buff and ult. Like, they're still fine, but they're not like these OP monsters. So I would put it at B for large scale. For PvE and small scale, I'd put it at A. Like, they're pretty just solid. You know, they can do Hystria, they can do the Ruins, I'm assuming. And then for 1v1s, I'd actually put it at S. I don't think there's any classes that really shit on Zerkers aside from Sorks and Ninjas, really. Those are the only two classes that, like, I just get destroyed by constantly.
What about... And granted, I think they can beat all these classes, but I think their win rate would be less than 50% against someone equal gear and equal skill. What about Lan and Tamer?
So I feel like those are more skill matchups. I feel like there's no certain advantage or disadvantage one way or the other, honestly. Like, the thing about being a berserker and fighting a Sork or a ninja, I feel like I'm at a disadvantage, and I'm not the only one. There's a lot of Zerkers who feel like that. The spammy iframe classes are really, really hard to deal with, especially the ones that have large amounts of omnidirectional movement, like Ninja and Sork. Hard to predict where they're going to go, hard to predict what they're going to do, unless they're bad, but we're not assuming that they're bad, we're assuming that they're good. Lan and Tamer, like, kind of the same idea, but just not on the same level as those two. You know, like, pretty mobile, you know, got some safe stuff in there. You know, it's not, like, super unprotected or super, like, immobile. But it's not as difficult as fighting a Sork or a Ninja, honestly.
Right. Okay.
I don't know. That's just my opinion, and I know a lot of other Zerkers feel the same way, that fighting a Sork and or Ninja is straight fucking cancer.
Yeah, it's hard.
But either way, that goes into A. We agree on where it lands, actually. I don't know if we're gonna have any S's, actually. It's gonna be hard for us to... Because the only way something gets an S with the system is that we both say it's S, which I don't know if that's gonna happen. We'll see.
Yeah.
Ranger!
Plus, for us to say it's an S, it'd have to be good at everything. It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Ranger, man. So, Ranger is one of the hardest classes to play well in the whole game. I actually think it might just straight up be the most difficult. And I think it's a B in PvE. It can do everywhere. It's just not the best at grinding everywhere. In 1v1s, I'd put it at either A or S. That one's kind of hard for me to decide, because in the hands of someone like Critical or Time Bomb, it's an S. But in the hands of most people, it's probably an A. And then in large scale, it has value because you can do a ton of damage at a relatively safe range, but you can't dive in, and you're not safe in the front half of a ball. And if you do get caught, you die really quickly. So I'd probably have to say, I'd probably put Ranger at a B, just because I think Siege and Node War is important, and I don't think it's top tier in that. So I'd put Ranger at a B.
Yeah, I think I agree. Ranger is one of those classes that I don't know too much about, in all honesty, but I have fought plenty of them. They're okay in large scale. From what I know, they're okay at grinding. I don't think they're super good at the, like, game areas, like history and stuff. I don't think they're, like, crazy good, but they're decent, I think, right?
Yeah.
But 1v1's Ranger, if piloted correctly, can be really insane. And if we're going with the standard of a good player with good gear, like, they won't be a critical, but they'll be able to do well enough to earn them a pretty high spot, so I think I'm gonna put it as well. So that goes in. So next one, Tamer.
So, oh man, Tamer is an interesting one too,
It is.
because it's straight up S in 1v1s.
Yep.
It's just straight up S in 1v1s. And then in grinding, I would put it... See, it's weird. Like, the grinding one is hard because at all the low-end spots, it's really bad. And I think at Mansions, it's not very good. But at History and Ackman, it does fine. So I'd probably put it at a B for grinding. Large scale is where I'm torn, because large scale, it's a little bit like Zerker, where their 100% is so important and actually really, really useful. They are good in the flex squad, so they have a place in large scale on a flex team. And now on Doom Horses, they're fucking nuts. So I don't know what to do, because like it's just normal skill set in large scale is really bad for the ball.
Right.
So I guess in large scale I'd put it at a B. So if it's S, B and B,
overall, or a B for large scale?
a B for large scale. But I think because it's SBB, I have to go. I'm leaning towards B because 1v1's the less important. So I think I'd put Tamer to B.
We vary very widely on this, apparently. I think Tamer's large scale is a straight fucking D. I just...
Oh, okay.
I don't see the word... Here's my thing with Tamer. Like, they can be flex, and that's fine. Other classes do it a million times better. That's just my issue with them. Yeah. Unless Tamer has ulti, what is a Tamer going to do as a flex person that a ninja can't? Like, that's my contention. Like, that's... Like, I just don't... I don't think... Like, they're okay.
Yeah.
They can do flex things, but they're not nearly as good. Again, not counting the 100% BSR. Tamer 100% is really, really strong, but if you take that away, they're just... I don't see what they have that's better than other classes in large scale.
That's fair. It's hard for me to argue that, but do you factor in how strong they are? I know it sounds so cheesy, but I watched it in action against a strong guild. Kendrick Tamar just destroying people on a Doom Horse. Do you factor that in at all?
Here's my
and their
question
100% is good in balls.
It does
like
somebody
really good.
Does with the criteria that we're using, a good geared player with a good skill set, is that player gonna have a Doom Horse? I don't think they are.
Everybody has a Doom Horse.
That's a lie.
You don't have yours yet? Oh, what? Everyone has it.
Do you have one?
No. That is fair. I chose not to.
Oh yeah, those 17 attempts or whatever it is. Was that you?
I had
not
8
to?
attempts. It was 8. All right. Okay, that's fair. You're right. You could put, because that's the other thing too, is whenever I do see these tamers that are doing pretty well in large scale, it's always like
they're insane.
It's Hentai Prince, Kendrick Tamar, Mamo, or Friendo, which are like the best of the best.
So I would put Tamer
Orange
D.
Tic Tac.
I would put Tamer D in large scale. They're straight up S in 1v1. If you don't think Tamer is straight up an S in 1v1, like, it doesn't even have to be piloted by someone insane. If you know what you're doing on this class, and you have a decent amount of AP, which again, what we're saying is 265, you can shred every... Like, it's nutty in 1v1. I don't know Tamer grinding that well, but it's not... I don't think it's that good. I'm torn between C and B. I would probably say C, honestly. I feel like if it was better at PvE, I would see more of them when I'm out grinding, but I literally never do. Like, and I grind at a lot of different places. I used to only grind Manschwams. I know when I was in Versatile, I only did Manschwams. I go to a lot of different places now because I'm doing guild quests for the guild that I'm Manschwams, I'm Blood Wolves, I'm Shere Khan, I'm Ackman, I tried Ackman a couple days ago, it's still garbage. Gahaz, I mean, I'm all over the place. I never see Tamers. Never. And that is also because there's not a lot of them. But I don't know. I don't see them grinding, so I'm just leaning towards C. I feel like if they were good at grinding, I'd see them grinding, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think they're fine in the high-end spots like Histria. I don't actually know how good they are in Ackman, and I know they're a little bit annoying in Manchems, but like Histria and the new 280 spot, I think they're fine. But outside of that, yeah. So again, I can't really argue.
So I think overall, I have to place it in C. Because, like you said, unfortunately, 1v1s don't weigh as much as large scale does, nor PvE. So if their large scale is D and their PvE is C, their 1v1 is S, I can't give it a B. I just can't. I feel like it has to go C.
Okay, you swayed me. Let's go C.
All right, C it is. Valkyrie.
Fuck you, Tamers.
Fuck you, Tamers. Fuck you, Ick. Ick, I'm kidding. Please don't leave my guild. You're my favorite officer.
And by the way, Icholas, Tamers are busted in RBF, alright?
Valkyrie. This class does still exist. We should have made a question mark tier below D and just put this in there. Like, wait, this class exists?
So Valk is a weird one too, because in large scale they have a hard time moving around. Mm-hmm. If you watch a Moo's guide, it'll help you a little bit. Valks, there are some movement techniques that you can use to help in Node War and Siege. But that having been said, it's a lot more work than a lot of other classes to move around. I think in 1v1s they're actually good. I actually think they're really good when they're played by a good player. I just think that they're hard counters by ninjas and Zerkers. But my thing is grinding. I'm a little bit torn on grinding because I don't think they're very good in like bandits or Fogans or any of those spots, but Valkyries are really, really good in Histria and like absolutely great in the new C spot.
Really?
Yeah, so for grinding, I'd probably, I don't even know, I'd put it at a B, I guess, because it'd have to be in the middle. Large scale, I'd put it at like a B, and only because the reason I'm not putting it D or C is because it still has heals, which are helpful. It still has an accuracy buff, which is helpful for your party. And it still has like that little mini PA that's also helpful for your party. And it has the vacuum and your 100% are all good in Siege. And then individually, you can kill people if you get stuck in like a 1v1 or 1v2 or whatever. It's just in the ball. It's kind of hard if you don't have your ult and all that. So yeah, I'd put it, I'd say probably BBA, which would just leave me as a B. The A would be the 1v1s.
Yeah. I think I agree pretty much entirely. Valkyrie, I know a lot of Valkyries complain and like whine and stuff. It's not that bad. It's just not. I don't know. They have very strong positives and very strong negatives. So at the end of the day, if you have a huge negative and a huge positive, it cancels out to 0. So I think that's why my brain is kind of saying like, yeah, it goes somewhere in the middle, which for me, it makes sense to put it in B. I agree with you. All right, cool. Musa.
Man. So Musa, oh god, some people are gonna hate me for this. Musa, I'm going to put for grinding, I think Musa is S, because every spot except for Histria, Musa dominates, and maybe the new C spot. But even in Histria, it's still pretty good. There's a few Musas I know that actually do pretty well, even in Histria on a Musa once you get to a certain gear. So I think it's an S grinder, and it just absolutely owns places like Manchems. Like there's just nothing better. And then I would put for 1v1s, I think it's A tier. And for large scale, I think it's A tier because I think it's, outside of Ninja, it's one of the best 1v1 classes, and you can still use it in a ball for a few things. Like one, just outright damage, and they can hang out in the back line and protect Zerkers and stuff. But two, they have a super armor dash that can pop stun traps. That shit is so helpful. And I don't think they're any worse than a lot of other melee classes. Like, they're not worse than Warrior in a ball. So, I don't know. I think I would put Musa at an A.
Musa at an A? I disagree a little bit, but it ends up going to the same effect. I also think Musa would go an A. I think their grinding is S. I think their 1v1 is B. I think they're a little lacking in 1v1. Typically when I fight Musas, it's very hard for them to catch me, unless I'm fighting like a really, really good one. It's usually pretty easy to just avoid getting caught by them. But their large scale is A. They're pretty damn good at large scale. They got huge AoEs that rival that of like Witch and Wizard. Good damage on those AoEs. Good protection, good amount of protection. Yeah, they're pretty solid. They're one of the better, like, flex classes. I would probably argue the second best. Yeah, just a solid class overall. I'd also put it at A. So, another one that we agree on. That's actually happening more than I thought it would. Next one. Meiwa.
Alright, Meiwa grinding. See, this is another one that's weird because I don't know how to weight the grinding spots. Everywhere that's not Histria and Secrea Ruins, Meiwa's pretty dog shit, I'm pretty sure. At grinding, their move speed is good, and I don't know, they can do okay, like Oz and stuff. I think we talked to Nayashe about this, but they do pretty well in Histria, they do pretty well in the new C spot. So for grinding, I'd have to put it at a B, because those are the only two places they're actually like great at. And then 1v1s, I would say I'd put Meiwa at an A, and then large scale, I would put them at a D, because they're just, I think they're actually as bad as Tamer in large scale, except their 100% is not even as useful as Tamer.
So what's your overall ranking?
So was that A, B, D?
Yeah.
I guess that would, fuck. What would that be? A C? Because the A is 1v1.
Yep, that's so, exactly what I was gonna say. I agree 100%. 1v1s, they're really good at 1v1s, especially like if a Meiwa is piloted by someone who's really, really good. Meiwas can be a fucking bitch to fight, like a pain in the ass. They might even be S tier with their 1v1s, but at the end of the day, I would also put Meiwa at D tier in large scale. I think the only thing I say that they do really well in large scale is they pop stun traps, which Musa can do, and then also do a ton of damage that has these giant AoEs. So I don't know, their large scale is just really bad. So yeah, I think I would also put it at C, honestly. Nayashe, don't be mad at us, man. Nayashe's gonna comment, he's gonna be like, dude, Meiwa isn't a C tier, it's definitely... Dude, listen, neither of us play this class. These are just our opinions outside looking in.
Yeah, I do want to say though, they've gained a slight, like a little bit more value kind of recently because of the Vision Sticky Snowflake, but that it's just not enough to change in my opinion. Yeah. But it's getting there, you know?
Getting there. All right.
Nayashe will solve it one day.
The big one. Here's the big one. Ninja.
Big one? Oh, okay. So it's S tier 1v1.
Yep.
I would just put it at... I would put it in B in both the other categories, grinding and large scale. So I would put Ninja in A. Those four. Obviously 1v1s goes without saying. In large scale, they're really good in flex. Although I actually think I disagree with you here. I think Musa might be the better class as a flex, personally.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know. Maybe I guess it depends on how good the ninja is. Maybe ninja. I could go either way. But that's it. Like that's all it can do is flex.
Yeah.
Which I guess is okay. I feel like no one is recruiting ninjas. Like no one's like actively trying to get ninjas in their guild. Yet everyone plays a ninja. So if we're ranking most fun, dude, that one's up there too. And then grinding, I think it's just a B. In all the lower spots, it grinds really quickly, especially after they gave us absolutes and BAM skills. But in the higher end grind spots, it's very middle of the road and or bottom tier. So I'd put it at an A, I guess, because it's still like it's good enough to do everything pretty well, and then it's absolutely god tier in 1v1.
I'd agree, A. Although I disagree on the assignments. S is obviously 1v1. If you don't think ninjas in S at 1v1s, I don't know what to tell you. You need to go fight just because I don't know. You haven't seen enough, I guess. I think their large scale is an A. They're really, really good. Let me just say this: they're lucky. Alright, they're lucky. Because if we had made this, 2 months ago, before Blade Spin nerf and Invisibility nerf, their large scale would be at an S tier.
Alright, I wouldn't go that far.
I would.
I'd still put it at an A. You're
Dude,
crazy.
do you not remember how cancer ninjas were before damage knocked them out of stealth? When they could just walk right up to you and no matter what you did, there was nothing you could do about it unless you hit them with a CC. Which, by the way, now you don't have your fucking CC for when the ball engages on you.
Yeah, I still think I'd put it in
the instant fucking bound from goddamn Blade Spin or Knockdown, whichever one it was, I don't remember.
Float,
yeah, that's what it was. Float. The instant float from Blade Spin that you had no time to react to, that also did insane amounts of damage. Dude, that was so cancer. But we're beyond that. They fixed that problem. Blade Spin doesn't have float, and also they get easily knocked out of invisibility now, as long as you know that they're there. So they get an A, large scale. And then B in grinding. Ninjas always complain about their grinding. I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's as bad as they complain about. I don't know. I just don't think your grind is that terrible when there's so many of you. Like, I know that's a weird reason to like justify that for, but like seriously, if your grind speed was as bad as ninjas say it is, there wouldn't be so many of you. That I truly do that.
It used to be worse. Before absolutes and bams, like they had to rely on their awakening, and their whole awakening kit went serpent and katana shower on cooldown. The rest is so slow. So I get it. But with blade spin, beheading, like all doing damage, I think it's fine. Shadow Stomp does a ton of damage, so I think their grind's okay.
Alright, Kuno, another class I know next to nothing about, but you know quite a bit, so let's hear it.
Alright, Kuno, I'd put A in 1v1s. I think it's capable of killing everyone, but everyone is also capable of killing it, except for maybe... No, that's everyone. It has some advantages in 1v1s against some classes, but I think everyone can kill a Kuno unless it's like god tier player. Grinding, it's not great in the high end spots. It's very similar to Ninja, but I actually think a little bit worse in the lower tier spots than Ninja. And then large scale, I think it has just it's really, really rough in large scale compared to everything else. So I think I would put Kuno at a C, personally.
Really?
Yeah.
You would put Kuno at a C?
Yeah, I think once they took Tendon Cutter away and the super armor from those things made a big difference. My opinion could change, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, even their damage compared to a ninja is not the same. Like, so I don't know what they excel at, except for being like the coolest looking class in the whole game. Which, by the way, it is. I love Kuno.
Kuno's looks are S tier.
Yeah, their looks are S tier, dude. The chakram, everything, the animations, the color, it's so good.
So I think for 1v1s, I would put Kuno at an A. I think for both large scale and PvE, I'd probably put Kuno at a B. That being said, I don't really know that much about Kuno. I've never played Kuno past just getting it to Awakening for the fuck of it. So my insight is relatively low. That being said, placing it in B makes sense because I think Kuno is worse than Musa and Ninja. I don't think it's as bad as Tamer and Meiwa.
See, I think it's just as bad. Let me make this argument. First of all, Tamer and Meiwa both have better movement than Kuno. Kuno's protected movement is Ghost Step, Tendon Cutter. That's all of it. Lunar Dash does not have protection. Shadow Stomp does not have protection. You can use Half Moon Slice to move, but it's not. That's more like a transition between. That's like 1v1 type movement. You're not using that in a ball, and it has a slight opening at the start of it. So the movement, and the only reason why I think I would have put it at a B, even with the nerfs back in December before the Archer came out, and before all these wizards and witches started realizing how good their pre-awakening kit is. But now that there's so much range, it's really difficult for a Kuno to move in large scale. Like, it's just really, really hard. You basically have to stay invisible for the entire time you're fighting. And their burst isn't like crazy like Ninja. So yeah, I think that they're a C. I don't think they're better than a Meiwa or a Tamer in large scale, honestly.
Well, like I said, I think they would go in B, but I don't know much about the class. So what I'm gonna say is, you probably know more than me, and I'll slap it in C. I'll agree with you. I think the difference between B and C isn't that crazy, so I'm just gonna go with C and trust that you know what you're talking about, because I don't. Witch, it's time to make some people angry. Let's do this, Witch.
All right. Wait, timestamp Rezar agreeing with me. That's very rare. Or even like changing his vote to agree with me is very rare. All right. Which is the next one?
Witch, brother. Let's do it.
All right. So, Witch in the high-end spots are not good at grinding. If we're talking PvE high-end spots, they're not very good. They need a buff, of which they're getting. So these grades for me are before these buffs that we know are coming. Just for the record, right? Correct? Is that fair?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they haven't come out yet, tested. So.
Okay. So in PvE, they're not good in the high-end spots, and they're okay at all the other spots. They're okay at mansions. They're okay at like the other spots, but they're not very good at all the high-end spots. So I would put their grinding at a B. I would put their 1v1s at probably a C, unless you're absolutely geared or god tier. And then their large scale, which I weight very heavily, I would put as an S. So the thing is with the large scale and the node wars is like, so in 1v1s they're not good, but in small scale I don't know, man. This one's so hard for me because Wiz and Witch are so important in this game. They're so sought after by every single high-end guild that S is like really, really important. So even though everything else, I'll put them at an A. They're A. Overall, they're an A.
Okay. Yeah, I think I agree. A. Again, it's gonna be very hard to argue an S, because S assumes that they're really good at everything. They're at least A, and higher than A, S tier, and something. I don't know if any classes fit that description, maybe. Their large scale is an S tier, and honestly, I mean, if we're just speaking honestly, it's a tier above S. If Berserker's 1v1 potential and Ninja's 1v1 potential is S tier, Witches and Wizards large scale potential is SS.
S plus, yeah.
Yeah, it just is. It just is. Maybe if you remove PA, it goes down to S. Like, if you take away PA, Witch and Wizard's large scale potential is still S. Huge super armors, huge AoEs rather, with super armors, that also CC. Healing, support skills, speed spell, mana shield, like they have so much on their kit, and now you're seeing these guilds, these top guilds starting to do this like range offs, which is, I don't know, it makes sense, but is kinda boring, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe people disagree with that, but they're having these range offs. Sorry?
What's more?
These range offs, where it's basically just wizards and witches spamming blizzard, meteor, fireball, lightning, and then you have archers popping arrows. You have zerkers popping cube offs right before the engage. You have rangers just, you know, throwing arrows into the fray. Like, it's happening. I feel like it's happening a lot more than it used to be. It's becoming like the norm. That being said, they're 1v1. I think I agree it is a C tier. I know people are gonna and be like, they're 1v1s at D tier. Alright, listen, if you're a good player and you have a good amount of gear, which is again the standards that we're using here. The standards that we're using are, you know how to play your fucking class and you have 265 AP. That's the standards we're using. Your 1v1 is not a D. Your 1v1 is a D if you're dog shit and or have no gear.
Yeah, your 1v1's a D against like a Sork and a Ninja, but it's not a D against everybody.
Yeah. So C tier 1v1, which also is not, like we've been saying this whole time, 1v1s just don't hold the same weight as large scale. And then their PvE, I think, is also a B. They're okay. You could do with some buffs, but they're fine. But that S is so much heavier than anything else, like we've stated so far. That S for large scale is just so heavy in weight that even though it's 1v1 and grinding aren't that good, it still goes up to A. So A it is. Wizard, the lesser counterpart. Oh, I just made a lot of people dislike this video with that statement.
I still think that overall I would leave it at an A. I think that their large scale is still as important, and it's slightly less, but it's still like S. So if a witch is SS in large scale, then a wizard's just S. Its 1v1s are, I know we can't say C+, but it would be a C+.
Mm-hmm.
And then their grinding is also just a B. They're not great in the high-end spots. They're only okay. And, yeah, so I'd leave it at an A.
Yep, I agree. They're a little bit worse, like a tiny, tiny bit worse in large scale. They're a tiny, tiny bit better in 1v1. And they're pretty much exactly the same, in my opinion, for grinding. Which, I mean, it still nets them about the same place as Witch. Just a little bit lower, but in the same category for the necessity of tier list, same category. All right, DK. Time to place the DK. Where do you want it, Frosty? What are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
What class?
DK, Dark Knight.
Dark Knight. What is it? What's that? I'm trying to remember what that class even is. No,
Dude, it's the one that top frags in Black Rose and then goes to Vexus and is like last page.
Stop. Alright, so this one's hard too because I think they're pretty good at grinding. Granted, you need mana pots, which is annoying. But they're good at Secrea Ruins. They're pretty good at Hystria. They're very good at the at Elton grind spot in Hystria. They're very good at Hawkman, and they're very good at the lower tier spot. So I would put them as an A grinder. I would put them in 1v1s. See, so here's the thing. You said 265. So if I'm going letter of the law, 265 AP, honestly, I think it hurts DK a lot.
Yeah, because DK
Now,
really comes online at 269.
They start coming alive around 291 these days. No, in all honesty, though, I do think DK, I don't know, their damage just does not feel very threatening at 265 unless you're not, like, unless you're below 301 DP. But after that, their damage seems very good to me. I know DKs will get mad at me for that, but even as when I'm playing on my Mystic, I run into DKs that are 275, 281, just like everybody else, and they one combo me. So, yeah. I don't know. That one's hard. And 1v1s, I think they're A, because I think they're completely capable of beating anybody in a 1v1 as long as it's piloted by the right person. So, I think overall, I'd have to. I don't know. I'd put them at a. I'd put them in, like, large scale is the one thing. I think they're pretty good at large scale. The problem is what they do in large scale is not better than other classes that also hit from range. For example, Witch, Wizard with Pre-Awakening, Archer, and even like Rangers. So they're large scale. I think I'd put DK at a B overall.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop DK at a B.
All right. I'd put it at a C. I think that their 1v1 is, if we could assign B+, I would put it at B+, but we can't. I just don't think it's an A in 1v1. I think that DK at 265 AP, piloted by somebody who's good, but not great, I don't think that's an A. I think if you change either one of those things to be like a tier higher, so if we said 269 AP or 273 AP, or if
Just
we said
real top cap,
or if we said a DK who's piloted by someone who's really, really good, I would say probably put it in A. But we're not saying those things.
Right.
So I think I have to put it in B.
Okay.
It's grinding. I don't know that much about DK grinding. I just don't. I think they're somewhere in the middle. I think they're a little bit higher than I think they're upper middle tier. They're not high tier, they're middle tier, but they're slightly above average, I think. And their large scale, I think, is a D. I don't think. Again, it's the same thing with 1v1s. If we were saying 273 AP or a really, really good DK, I might put DK at like a B. I just don't think with 265, by the metrics we're using, 265 AP and somebody that's good, not somebody that's great, somebody that's good, I don't see DK performing well in Node Wars like that. I just don't. Or C.
Yeah, maybe 265's too low. I mean, I can't argue like too wholeheartedly, because again, I just think what it does, other classes do it better. Even at 269, like 269 helps it, but 269 on the classes that do better than it also
Do better.
get helped.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I can't argue. Like, if you're gonna do, I think C plus is okay if we meet somewhere in that middle. If I say B, you say C, I'm happy with the C plus. Because I do think it's good at grinding. I think straight up, it's actually a good class to grind on. It's not S grinding, but it's definitely good everywhere.
All right, C plus it is. We have our differences in opinion, and again, that's just our opinion. So don't fucking read us in the goddamn comments. I know it's gonna happen.
However,
anyway.
Our opinions are fact.
Yeah. So if you have a different one, then it's wrong.
Yeah.
All right, Striker. Here we go. This is the one that's gonna be.
Yeah, we're not gonna be on the same page.
No, we're not.
No.
So go ahead,
All right.
Frosty. Rank.
Wait,
it for
why
me.
don't you start this one off? You start this one off for us.
You want me to start it off?
Yeah, you start this one off. Let's change it up here, these last few.
Okay. A. A gets an A.
Okay, why?
It's 1v1 is really, really good. I think it's overblown how weak it is in large scale. I think they're still fine. They're doing as well as, like, every other class that's not a witch or a wizard in large scale. I think all the people that are saying, oh, Striker sucks in large scale, you're bullshitting. It's no worse than all the other classes that aren't witch and wizard, that are, like, these ball classes. Like, everybody's kind of struggling right now. It's these range offs, they're not fun for classes that don't have range. You're doing just fine. And then their grind speed, I know that they're not good at Ackman or Histria, apparently. I don't know about Ruins. I'm guessing they're probably not good at Ruins either. But Strikers do just fine at Manschwams and every other place below that. So they're okay. So I think that overall their 1v1 potential is probably an S. They're really, really strong in 1v1. Their large scale is an A. And their grind is a B, maybe a C. I might be persuaded to put it at C because I know they're just absolutely horrid in the dungeons, but they're good at every other place besides that. So it's going to be hard to persuade me that they're a C in grinding. So I averaged that out to an A.
All right. I have to say, by the way, because I'm trying not, since we're recording differently, I'm trying not to make clicking noises. so I'm gathering.
Gathering?
Dude, since we've been on this call, I got 3 Kaffirstone straight drop from gathering and 30 dust.
Hey, let's go.
Gathering is OP.
Yeah, you should just become a life skiller, dude.
Dude, I might. Okay. So your comment, I have to address this before I forget the thought. Your comment on that they're as good as everyone else that's not wizard or witch in large scale is completely unfounded, because the other classes that are not wizard and witch that are good in large scale are not melee classes. They are archer, they are, in my opinion, DK, which still at least has some range damage, even though at our scaling it's not great. And I just think Striker's place in large scale is if you have PA, you get in, you do your leg drop, you maybe ult if you have it once PA ends, since you're invulnerable, and then you get out and you're just as vulnerable as everybody else because everybody else has super high AP, and after all the deep magic DP nerfs and the evasion nerf, they melt. In 1v1s they don't melt, but in large scale they do. One wizard doesn't do a lot of damage to a striker when the wizard's 269 AP. 2 wizards do a ton of damage to a striker at 269 AP. 30 wizards do a shitload of damage. Now, if the striker's like 347 DP, then I would change my opinion. I think at that point it kind of changes things, but very few people are that. So I would put striker is... What did you put it in large scale?
I said A in large scale.
All right, so I'm putting that at a C.
That's so horseshit.
Dude, it's just not good. It's not good. Like, if you compare it to, no one wants a striker. Nobody is recruiting strikers. They used to back in the day, But they don't. I mean, you leg drop and you get out, and that's all you have is that one nuke. But why would you want that if you could just have an archer?
The only classes that people high tier guilds are recruiting are Witch, Wizard, Berserker, and Archer right now. Like, that's it.
Right, which is why Striker's not very good. Even, I mean, there's just... Do you remember how popular Striker was? There are no Strikers anymore. Like, it's so... Break. Dude, there are not a lot of Strikers at all. Hold on, I'm gonna take a shot real quick.
Frosty's getting fucking drunk.
Yeah, because... Oh god, that burned. Because you're putting me in a position where I have to defend fucking Strikers, dude.
Well, stop defending them then. You're defending them
have to,
unjustly.
Though. They're not good in large scale, and you guys are not gonna like what I have to say about Mystic in large scale either.
Oh my god.
All right,
dude, they're
1v1s,
not
I'll put
bad.
them. I'll put Striker, so I'm putting Striker as I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I want to say C+ for large scale, but I'm going to say C because I know you said B, and I don't think it deserves to be higher than a C+ in that regard. Grind or 1v1s, I think it's A. I think they're capable of killing everybody. My only issue that I have with Strikers in 1v1s, similar to Mystic and a few other classes, is that their skill animations are not very quick. So you can react to everything they do if you're a good player. Once they start their animation, you kind of know what's coming. The only thing that would catch you by surprise maybe is the grapple if you're like right on in their face. So a Striker I'd put as an A in 1v1. I'd put it as a C in large scale, and I would put for grinding it's bad. Like, I think it's good enough in all the lower tier spots. It's pretty good. Its mobility's good, and if you can one-shot things like Gahas, like all that, it's fine. It's pretty good at Manchums, but in Akhman, Histria, and Secrea Ruins, it's just not good. And it's a lot of effort to pull in not a lot of trash too. Their pre-awaken, I think their pre-awaken kit is part of the problem. It just doesn't do enough single target damage to grouped up packs. So I would put their grinding at a C. I'm just gonna throw Strikers down to a B overall. I'm putting Striker as a B.
Okay, so I want to jump back to large scale because I think it's absolute horseshit that you would give Striker a C in large scale. They are not that bad. They're not.
What is it good at?
They're just not.
But not that bad is not a compliment.
Dude,
not that
Striker's
bad
ults.
C.
Dude, Striker's ultimate is one of the best for large scale. What are you talking about?
It's pretty good, except you can react to it and get out. You can't do that with like a Tamer ult or...
Yeah.
Who else's ult's good?
But Striker's ult is also... It's the only one that when everybody has 281 AP or higher, it's the only one where that doesn't matter. Because they're invulnerable while they're doing it.
They are.
So if you're pushing through a choke point in Medaya Castle, who do you want to send in there to try and get an ult off? The Tamer that's just gonna die by one Wizard Bolide who didn't happen to resist the CC? Or the Striker that's gonna jump in the choke in the castle point, fucking pop an ulti, and there's nothing anyone can do about it except for either run through it or turn around and run back.
First of all, you haven't been in a castle. No one's sitting at the choke engaging, okay? If someone's diving into the castle, they're like way back in like a concave shape, okay?
I'm just using that as an example, though.
I know, I'm just saying. Alright, even though, yes, they're invulnerable, which I don't love. I think that's stupid. It doesn't make any sense to me that they're invulnerable, but even though they're invulnerable, two things. One, they can be grappled out of the beginning. It's not that huge of a deal, but it is possible out of the start of the animation. And two, it's one of the only ults in the entire game that doesn't have a CC associated with it whatsoever. So you can literally walk out of it.
Zerker ult? Hello?
Okay, but Zerker ult is instant damage. It's not damage over time, like, because it's Striker ult. Like, Zerkers just appear on you and you die.
I mean,
Strikers are like, oh shit, he's ulting. And like, you'll actually get shot calls in Node War and Siege. Like, Striker ult, I'm on ping, back out of it, everyone like moves out.
Because it lasts longer, but
it lasts a long time.
Zerker's ult isn't instant.
But it's avoidable. Zerker's ult's freaking instant, dude. They just appear on top of you. Oh my god. Anyway, so yeah, I'm sticking with they're a C in large scale, dude. Because melee, they're just not tanky enough to be a frontline class anymore with how much damage everyone does. Even at our 265 rule, if an entire guild is 265, unless you're like 347 DP, you can't run in as a striker. You're just gonna die.
Here's my issue. Here's my number one issue with your ranking. I'm like 99% sure. I don't remember exactly, and I should have been writing these down so that I could come back to these. I'm 99% sure you said Warrior was a C in large scale. Striker is not as bad as Warrior in large scale.
I disagree. I actually even think their ult is better. I think their ult is better, and they have a ranged CC. Striker doesn't have a single ranged CC. Are you actually citing this fucking spear as a goddamn long range?
And
it's damage, dude. With enough AP, it's damage. Yes, I am.
Jesus Christ.
The reason I even bring it up is I'm only bringing it up as a point to make that the striker is not better. It's just not worse. I'm not arguing it's worse than Warrior. I don't see how it's better. They can stay up. Okay, so they can't get CC'd, right? Like if they're using skills, except you do have a slow debuff, which is more important than anything Striker does, except for maybe their leg drop, which doesn't do enough damage to kill anybody anymore. But they don't have the slow debuff. Slashing is super armor now. They fixed that super armor, so their protection is the same. Like Striker hops in and uses super protections. You can't sit in and use 4 super armors in the middle of a ball. You're just gonna die.
I would also cite the fact that going into a ball is way easier for a striker than a warrior. Warrior has head chase super armor once every like 3 seconds, and then forward thrust.
Frame every 3 seconds. Learn your class.
Me. Sorry, I haven't played it in fucking a year. And then they have a charging thrust, which is forward guard for half of the animation, if I remember correctly. And then also, if you manage to accidentally hit someone with it, it actually stuns you for about 1.5 seconds that you can't cancel out of.
We used to have that solar flare ult, which is fucking crazy.
Which is not protected as well.
Super armor. Read it. It's super armor.
I am 99%.
It's literally super armor. It's 100% super armor. They went through and added protection to all
are you talking about the ult?
Yeah, the ult.
Oh, okay.
That's what I said.
The ult may have super.
And again, like, and Warrior's better grinding than Striker. I think Striker and Warrior.
I'm not talking about the grinding
These days. I'm talking today.
I am talking about the large scale potential.
Yeah, I just don't think Striker's better. And if it is better, like maybe it's a C plus versus a C, but that's it. I'm putting Striker at C, dude. Actually, like Vexus and Black Rose, like they don't even like trial Striker. This is not even a thing.
All right. We're obviously just not. We're not gonna build it. I'm not even gonna bother arguing 1v1s with you. This is gonna go on for way too long, and we wanted to keep this video kind of short.
I called it an A. It's not like that far off. You said S for 1v1, right?
The idea to me that you would argue that Striker is worse than Berserker in a 1v1 is really frustrating.
It is.
It's not.
It's definitely worse.
It's not.
Its skills are way more telegraphed.
And it's
a lot slower.
They have more protected CCs. They have more protected movement. They have more movement in general. Like,
Zerker has a lot of movement.
Zerker has a lot of movement, yeah.
That mouse click lava pierce is fucking nutty, dude.
It is, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna argue it isn't, but Striker has a lot of crazy movement as well. Like,
but also Zerker has a couple range pokes that the Striker just doesn't have. It's 100% melee.
You were just on this range kick. Are you?
They
really
matter. Dude. They matter. That's why.
Oh no.
I mean, like, what is the? They matter, dude. Being pure melee means you have to be really, really tanky and able to survive. So yes, they have a few more protected abilities, but it's because they have to be in your face the whole time, and they're not particularly fast. And unlike Mystic, Striker doesn't have Tranquility that gives them 3 martial stacks, so they can't boost their attack speed up 20% like Mystics can in 1v1s.
Dude, you know what? You're right. I've seen the light. You know, the real difference between Striker and Berserker is that me as a Berserker, I oftentimes will sit back, and without even my Q buff on, I'll just spam cannon. You know,
that actually happens.
There's never a time where I charge in and then try and grab somebody or get a CC with ground lifting or general disarray.
Oh,
never happens. I'm always moving shot off cooldown, spamming the fucking flame buster
Dude.
until I kill them just from the fucking damage. The like 5% damage that it fucking does.
Do you remember when we were practicing our trial characters in that 2v2 in the arena against that Zerker? And I was like, dude, I cannot CC this Zerker. And he said, oh yeah, he's playing extra safe and just rotating his protections.
Yeah.
They have plenty of protection that they can rotate it literally forever if they want to.
I mean, not forever, but for a really long time, yeah. And against classes that don't have grabs, like you were playing a Sork at the time, you can play super defensive like that and be fine. Plus, your super armor rotation includes Devastation, which is really good against iframe classes because it slows them down, allows you to grapple them easier. But I'm not arguing that Zerker is bad. I just find it laughable, honestly, that you would argue that Striker is worse. I just don't agree.
It didn't used to be, and then with all the magic DP nerfs, the evasion nerfs, like now it's not even like significantly more tanky. It's more tanky in a 1v1, but it's not more tanky in large scale. So it's like, I don't know what it does that it's good at. It's a melee class that dies just as fast as everybody else.
Alright, whatever. We agree to disagree, and you're wrong, I'm right. Moving on. Mystic, let's go.
Oh, what? Where did you put him?
I put him in B+.
How?
Because I said A, you said B, it goes in B+. What do you mean, how?
Oh, yeah, okay, that's a... Dude, I'm sorry out there, Strikers. He deserves to be in a B. Alright, who we going to?
Mystic, I already said.
Alright. So, there's another one I'm going to get hate for. I'll start this one off, and I'm going to make it quick. In large scale, I again think it's a C. I don't think it does anything well except for its vacuum, but even the vacuum is like meh. And I know the vacuum can be frustrating to deal with when you're the one person that's caught in it. But that's the problem, is it's always one person that's caught in it, and then you're just sitting there in super armor and you die because damage in large scale. In 1v1s, I think that Mystic is an A, and in grinding, I believe Mystic is an S. So for me, I'm going to put Mystic as a solid A tier. I just think it's not great in large scale anymore. Now, I understand a large majority of the people that listen to this are probably on T1s or T2s, or maybe just barely getting into T3s. But I am telling you, if you talk to Mystics in high tier guilds, if they are not like 331 or 347 DP, being 100% melee in large scale right now is really, really hard. It's hard to get anything done. And one of the things that Mystic was so OP before is because it can sit in there as like a CC bot. You're like rotating your skills, doing damage, getting CCs over time, and the damage, like it was like sustained damage over time. But because you can't stay in a fight super long anymore, and Mystic doesn't have any massive burst like other classes, even like leg drop on Striker, like Mystic doesn't have something like that. So I don't think it's very good in large scale right now. Yeah. No one's looking for Mystics anymore either. It's just a weird thing that I think it's not even like the class itself. It's just the game has changed to this. There's so much range damage that it's just hard to be a melee class in general. That's all.
I think I agree. I think A tier is fine. Although I think I change a little bit. I think they're a little bit better in large scale than you give them credit for. But they're not doing too good by any stretch.
They used to be so good though. I like Renown also. Like, I just want to go through real quick. And this applies to Striker and Mystic. And I know like they still have some magic DP. So in 1v1s, Wizard, Witch, DK suffer from it and they notice it. Sork not as much, Tamer not as much, mostly because their burst is so high. And they have Sork has evasion debuff and 100% accuracy skill. That's nice. But they had 2 magic DP nerfs separately, months and months apart from each other. They had an evasion buff nerf on one of their skills that was 15% evasion. Now it's only 9%. Renown was removed, and there was that one patch that was like DK, Wizard, and Witch now do. I can't remember the percentage. It was like 10% or 5% more damage to Strikers and Mystic. So all of those things combined, plus the release of Archer, just made it way more difficult for a Striker and a Mystic in large scale specifically. That's all. Just gotta point that out.
Yeah.
Not saying they're garbage, trash, just don't think they're where they used to be anymore.
Yeah. I think
Sorry,
agree.
go on.
The main thing that puts them kind of high, I think, is their grinding is really, really good. Mystics grinding
best.
is insane.
It's good. And you get to relax too. It's like not just good, but they have enough HP and like WP recovery that you don't have to think when you're grinding at iron spots at all. It's nice.
Yeah. See, to me, Mystic and Striker are exact reverses. So Striker to me is S tier 1v1s, A tier large scale, and B grinding. To me, Mystic is S tier grinding, A tier large scale, and B tier 1v. I really don't feel threatened by Mystics, to be honest. I know.
In a 1v1?
No, not really. They don't pose nearly as much of a threat as Striker, honestly. They just don't have that same amount of burst. I mean, fighting Mystics like you that have an insane amount of AP is a fucking pain in the ass. But if we're talking like 265, 269 AP, like Mystics, I don't know. There's just, I don't feel very threatened by them, honestly. And I think you stated that as a Mystic, fighting Zerkers is kind of a bitch, so I think that
it can be hard. I don't think it's impossible or anything like that, but it can be hard against really good Zerkers.
Yeah. Alright. Lon.
Oh, Len. All right. So this one's weird because of the large scale implication. I think that they're a solid D in large scale.
A solid D.
Yeah. I mean, they're good at cannons and they're okay at flex, but they're not better at cannons and flex than anyone else. I guess cannons because of the flight thing. I don't know that anyone's cannon team got significantly better because of
it's kind of just a thing that's like nice to have.
Yeah.
Rather than a thing that's like, oh my god, it's so OP to have a lawn.
Right. And then they're grinding. See, now I'm torn on them with their grinding being between A and S tier because at Akhman and Histria, they're so good. And at Secrea Ruins, I think they're pretty good. I just don't know about their survivability because I don't know how tanky they are. But I'm pretty sure once you get enough DP, they're really, really good there too because they have a ton of HP recovery. I'm going to put their grinding at S. They're just top tier at every single spot. And in 1v1s, I'm going to put them at an S. And this is why I'm conflicted because I think they're D at large scale and they're S the other two. So I guess overall they're a B.
Yeah.
For me, I'd have to say a B.
Yeah.
But I need 30 seconds bio.
Okay.
Remind everyone why I'm an idiot for thinking Mystic's not strong enough. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Well, I can just give my evaluation while he's gone, I guess. I think I agree. B tier. Lon's grinding is pretty crazy. They're really, really good. S tier, probably. Large scale is D tier. Lons in 1v1s are okay. I don't think it's S tier, like Frosty says. Probably A or B. I'm leaning towards A. For 1v1s, I think they're really good at 1v1s, but they're not insane. I don't think they're up there with Zerker and Ninja, and Striker is where I put Striker's 1v1. I don't think they're as good as those classes. I think they're an A tier. So, S tier grinding, A tier 1v1, D tier large scale. Probably puts them at B, maybe C. But again, Lon is one of those classes that I don't know that much about. So welcome back. I've just been telling them my reasoning. I put it at B as well.
Okay.
I'm leaning between B and C. I think I'm leaning more towards B because I don't think Lon overall is as bad as Tamer, Meiwa, Kuno. If I could put Lon in C+, I would, but I can't. So I think I'm going to put it in B because I don't know much about the class. You played it for a while, so I'm weighting your opinion a little bit more than my own.
Okay, where do you put it in large scale specifically?
Large scale D. Large scale D, grinding S, 1v1 A.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, partly my 1v1, I don't know.
I just don't see Lon being as strong in 1v1 as Zerker and Ninja. Zerker, Ninja, Tamer. Like, I know Lon's good in 1v1s. I don't think they're that good.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what class they have a hard time with. I had one tell me that they struggle against Tamers, that's actually kind of a difficult matchup. And then I imagine Ninja's not easy.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like, I don't know, man. Like they're even hard to fight on Sork for me. I have even the ones I'm better than still end up being like really long fights because it's just hard to catch them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But either way, I chose B, so we agree. B tier for Lon. Last class, we got Archer, which is an interesting one. So go ahead, let's talk about it.
I'm gonna put its overall combined grade at an S.
Wow, really?
Putting it at an S.
Explain.
Well, so obviously it doesn't have PA. And Wizard and Witch has PA. And Wizard and Witch is really good in large scale because they have heal and support. But Wizard and Witch is really good with a strong army, and what your army needs to be if you have a bunch of good Wizards and Witches to support them is archers and literally nothing else. Yeah, I think that archers, it's hard to say that they're S tier in large scale just because they don't have the same obviously support skills as Wizard and Witch, so I'm gonna put them as an A in large scale. Although if I could, I'd say A+. But they are just super high damage dealing, CC from range. They're not super easy to catch once you actually catch up to them. And guilds are looking for them. Like, people have lower recs for Archer, Wizard, Witch, and Zerker. Like, that's the reality of the situation. So I'll put them at an A for large scale. In 1v1s, I'd also put them at an A. Because I think they are good enough to beat everybody. I think that the two most difficult classes for them to win against are Sork and Ninja. But I think really, really good archers are completely capable of winning those matchups at a more than 50% clip. If you're better than that player. I think if it's even, it can go either way, but if you're better than that player, I think they can win more than 50% of the time. And then everyone else, it's hard, man. Like, it's hard to fight against an archer on a lot of classes. Maybe Zerker's a little bit easier, but on Mystic, it's a struggle. On Striker, it's a struggle. On Kuno, it's just an absolute nightmare. On I think Rangers are frustrated by archers. Yeah, it's I've even seen ninjas, like good ninjas, have a hard time. So I don't know, like, yeah, I would put it at an A in 1v1s, and in grinding it's S tier. It's just the only class that's probably better than it at grinding in history specifically is Mystic at super high gear, but Archer is close enough, and maybe a really good Archer could even beat a Mystic. It's possible. But everywhere else, at Secrea Ruins, they're as good or better than Mystic. At Achman, they're way better than literally everybody. They're super good at Manchums. They're just good everywhere. So I'm going to put them at an S, and the reason why I'm putting them an S with the others being A is because everything is so top tier that no other class has that just makes them above everybody else. Everyone else is significantly weaker at one thing than the other things they're good at, and Archer's just not weak at anything. It's really, really strong at everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm saying S.
I think I agree. S tier. I think I know you said that you didn't feel like you could put Archer in S because Witch and Wizard are S, but also you gotta think like when we assigned Witch and Wizard S for their large scale, we did say if we had an SS, we would give it to them. So,
right.
Like, I have no issues giving Archer an S in large scale. I know that in this chart specifically, that makes it seem like we're saying that, you know, Archer is as good as Witch and Wizard in large scale. That's not the case, but they are certainly better than other classes that we would give like a large scale ranking of A to. I don't see Archer as an A tier large scale class. I just don't. Their 1v1s is an A, and their grinding is an S, just for the reasons that Frosty cited. Archer isn't too terrible as a Zerker. I know you mentioned that for Zerker it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Once you start fighting archers like Cine, you know, where they have fucking 281 AP, becomes a bit of an issue. But if we're using the standard of like a 265, maybe a 269 Archer, it's not that bad, but it is a bit of a bitch. That being said, I know a lot of other classes really fucking struggle against archers. Like, it is a fucking bitch to fight them. So yeah, S for me as well. For sure.
Damn. So I do want to clarify too, with even though I'm putting it at S because it's the best at everything, I'm still not ready to call for nerfs on that class for a couple reasons. One, it took them a while to figure out their S. Granted, they got buffs here and there like along the way, but it took them a while to figure out how to PvP in 1v1. Because if you're an archer, it's your first week playing an archer and you fight a ninja or a sorc, you're like, yeah, no, I'm not beating those classes. But then after a while, they start learning how to deal with it, how to use their movement properly, how to rotate their protections and when to use it, when not to use it, and all that stuff. And they got a lot better. And because it took them a while to get better and everyone got used to fighting bad archers, now everyone's still struggling against archers. So I'm not ready yet to say that they need to be nerfed, is all I'm saying. It's in my mind that maybe they will be, but I wouldn't say nerf them right now. Like if someone told me like, oh, you could change Archer right now, what would you do? I still would just wait on it. I'm not ready yet, but I definitely think it's S tier in this current moment.
Yeah.
Like that could change. Like you were saying, you know, we do this tier list every month or 2 months or whatever. That's one of those things that even if nothing changes in a patch, it's possible that the tier list changes and Archer drops, because Zerker, this happened with Zerker to me. If you think about Zerker in the last 5 months, all it got were nerfs. And 5 months ago, no one cared about Zerker, and now everyone says they're strong, even though it never even got a buff, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, well,
but that's just how meta works, you know, like people figure shit out.
Well, I think the average skill level of Zerker rose. I think a lot of Zerkers that were kind of just going through the motions of like what they kind of just knew started trying to like be better, and this was kind of spearheaded by some like influential people in like the Zerker community or whatever. So
Grabaholic, yeah, go on.
Grabaholic, dude. No, man, as much as like I don't like, here's the thing. I like Steve. Yo Fam Steve is a cool dude. I think a lot of the stuff that he does listen, hold up. Let me just say one thing real quick. Steve can whip my ass in a heartbeat. He is a way better Zerker than I am. He is a way better player than I am. That being said, I think a lot of the things that Steve does, like while he's streaming and fighting and stuff, is a lot of wasted movement, is a lot of like for show, is a lot of like, it's just for fun. It has no real purpose.
He's wiggling his camera.
He does the McHands.
Oh no, okay.
No, he doesn't. He's not like that. But it's hard to explain if you don't play the class. But when you watch him do the things he does a lot of things that are kind of unnecessary. But that being said, when the guy became really popular, like probably about 5 months ago, honestly, is probably when he started getting like pretty damn popular in Twitch. With that, a lot of people started learning from him and like learning like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? And like people just got more interested in learning how to do these things because here was this guy who didn't have a lot of gear, which is kind of the issue with the Zerkers that have been streaming for a long time, like Wall of Kai. I don't mean to talk shit about Silverback, but he's had a lot of gear for a long time. And in my honest opinion, coming from a place of he could whoop my ass, yet again stating Silverback could easily whoop my ass, I feel like his skill has kind of dropped since he got so much gear.
I have to defend Silverback. I see him at Mansion sometimes and he'll equalize gear for me.
Really? That's nice of him.
No, he doesn't. I'm kidding.
Oh, well, that's... I was gonna
he
say...
always leaves it on and kills me in one ancient wave.
Yeah. See, and I don't mean to talk shit about Kai or say like that he's bad or anything, because he's not. He's a good Zerker. But I think that when you get like an insane amount of gear like Silverback has, you no longer are required to do like these massive combos. And so when you don't do them, you just you fall out of practice. You don't really care that much anymore, and you just kind of stop doing them. And it's like, it makes sense, right? I'm not like criticizing him for it, but then you have Steve, who, you know, before he joined Snake, I think when he joined Snake, he was at like 240 AP or something. And he was doing all these crazy combos, and people were like, oh, hey, how do you do that? And it's not like these combos weren't known in the Zerker community, but he was showcasing them on Twitch, becoming really popular, and like, these Zerkers that were previously just like, oh, I'm just gonna grab and then like slugfest, I guess, I don't know. All of a sudden they were like, oh shit, this dude's doing some crazy shit that looks really cool. Even if, like I was saying earlier, it is kind of like, to me anyway, it feels like wasted movement. It feels like it's just kind of like for show, or to like just do for the fuck of it because it's fun. Like, it made other Zerkers interested in learning how to like be better. So I don't know, I feel like there was this huge push in the last like 5 months that just like raised the average skill level of Zerkers, honestly. And I don't mean to attribute that like to Steve's like alone.
Solely.
Yeah, solely. Right. I kept wanting to say solely. I was like, that's not right. I'm not saying that he's the one who did it, but he definitely did help, I think, honestly. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just my opinion, but that's just, that's basically a long rant on, yes, I agree with you.
No, I think that definitely plays a role. There's this weird thing, actually, and this used to, I noticed this in StarCraft. It would happen sometimes with a balance patch where a unit would get changed, and it was like, the change was so insignificant. But that change, because it was in the patch notes, brought light to a character, and suddenly people started, or a unit or whatever, and people suddenly started using it and trying it, and people realized how strong it was. And I feel like that with Zerker, because remember, like, they've had Q buff nerfed twice, and the first time it was nerfed, it was like people knew it was strong in 1v1s, but it wasn't, everyone wasn't using it in large scale. And after it got nerfed the first time, and it was just like, why did this get, everyone's asking like, why did this get nerfed? And people found out, it was like, oh, because it's really strong, like, let me try that, let me see what that's like. And then all of a sudden a bunch of people were playing Zerk, like, dang, like, this feels good.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's like it's a meta thing. It's like,
well, it's the oh fuck, what was I can't remember. There's a name for it.
Zerkers are brain dead?
Oh, It's like, you know, hold on, I'm Googling it.
Oh no!
I want to say it's the Barbara.
You use Google still? Everyone uses Bing.
Yeah. It's the Barbra Streisand effect. That's what it is. It's where you try and like hide something, you try and like censor something, and instead of it being like, you know, actually doing what you wanted to do, which was hide it, it brings it to the light.
Right.
So like it was this thing that like
played Buck hiding his wagon.
So. God damn it. So, it's like, not a lot of people knew about the Q buff spam until they nerfed it, and then people, you know, find out because they nerfed it, you know? Which people would have found out eventually anyway. But that made it a lot faster because it brought everyone's attention to it because they nerfed it. I know, as I was Googling that, I can't speak today. As I was Googling that, there was probably, at least, like, 50 people just, like, yelling like, it's the Streisand effect, you idiot.
There's not even gonna be 50 people that see this. All right,
dude, I think this video is gonna be popular, man. Tier lists are hot right now. Everybody loves them. I love them, dude. I've been enjoying the tier list content on YouTube.
God, you're crazy. All right, so as a final conclusion, because we went through all the classes, if you could nerf or buff anything, like just one thing that stands out to you, all the classes, one thing, like something needs buffed, and a general buff, like not, you don't have to give a specific thing, I guess you could, but like PvE, Siege, or 1v1s, what would it be? And let's keep in mind that Wizard and Witch are getting PvE buffs. We won't go over them here, but we'll 100% talk about them on the Value Pack podcast, which comes out every Monday morning.
Almost every Monday morning.
Almost every Monday morning. Almost every Monday. Even when it does come out, sometimes not on a Monday, but you know.
Well, before we do that, I did want to say, are we happy with this? Are you looking at this? Like, I am sharing my screen with you, right?
Yeah,
I am. So looking at this, does this make sense to you, or is there anything that you're like, I don't know about that, I might change that?
So it's Archers A.
S.
I'm gonna have to go, or sorry, S. I have to go by these portraits. Archers S, then Sork, Zerker. What is that? Musa. Ninja. Witch. Wizard. Mystic are A.
Yes.
Archer's S. Striker's a B.
B+.
A B+. Ranger. No.
Yes.
Valkyrie. Ranger. Lan are B. That one's a little bit weird for me because Lan is just so good. Well, fuck, they're just so bad in large scale that it's weird seeing them at B. I'm sorry, everybody, but I hope you understand that B doesn't mean they're good in large scale at all. And then Warrior DK. See, Warrior also is so weird to me too because the popular warriors, you know, like everyone fears them, right? But it's just that like large scale and grinding, they're so meh. They're just whatever at grinding, but 1v1s are so good. Like, good ones are so good. That's the one thing I love about, actually, a lot of the classes in this game. I do love, like, as much as we like to hate, I'm going to White Knight for a second here. I love that, like, a lot of these classes have the caveat that someone really good on them can make it look better than it is. You know what I mean? Yeah,
you just stole that from Sphero on the last podcast.
I don't know even who that is. So
I think what he said is, if a master of a class can't make it look scary, then I don't want to play it, was the quote that he used.
That his quote? Oh, I gotta go back and read.
You said you wrote it down.
Oh no, yeah, that's what it was. He said if the best player at a class doesn't make it look broken, then I don't want to play this game.
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
Which was so clutch, dude. Who, that was McCann's or Cutthroat? Who said that?
I'm pretty sure it was Akihiko Kaiba.
Right, of course. Okay, so that's Warrior and DK are C+, and then Tamer, Meiwa. What is that last one? Or was that
Kuno.
Meiwa? Oh, Tamer, Kuno, and Meiwa are C. Yeah, I think that's right. I know Kuno's a weird one at C too, because there's a lot of people that actually have a hard time against good Kunos. But I think part of that is that the only people that play Kunos these days are the ones that are super fucking good at it and been playing forever. And even they struggle in a lot of aspects in the game. So, yeah, I'm happy with this tier list. I think in at 5:30 p.m. PST, Friday, May 24th, that this is valid. I actually don't even think most people would be upset with this if they listened to the reasoning. Archers would be upset. I can guarantee you that archers will be very unhappy with that. But I just hope that they understand that them being S doesn't mean I want them nerfed.
There's gonna be so many people that are mad that we put warrior at C+. People that get clapped by warriors in 1v1s and think that they should be like A or B.
Right. Yeah, I hope they listen to the beginning and understand that that's mostly because 1v1s are not weighted as heavily. Although somehow LAN is above a warrior, but that's because their grinding is so goddamn good.
Well, yeah, the LAN's grinding is miles better than warriors.
Yeah. Maybe we need a class tier list that separates PvE from PvP.
Ooh, another video, you say?
Another video! Dun dun dun!
Maybe.
Alright, so if you had one balance change that you could change that you think is most important in the whole game, this will be controversial. This is why I like. What would it be? You could do one change right now. It could be for PvE, PvP, or whatever.
Change/remove PA?
Man.
Same thing that I've said for like 3 years now. Like, maybe not remove it. At this point, I kind of see what Sphero was saying, where he was saying, like, maybe like 6 months, a year ago, you could say remove it and it'd be fine. But now, with like the climate that the game is currently in, I don't know. Maybe just change it to be... I just hate how it is. I hate what it does to large scale. I think it makes large scale boring. I think it makes large scale telegraph. I think all of the fun aspects of large scale are not EA based, honestly. I really do believe that.
Yeah. Alright. That's fair. Wait, real quick. How long have we been recording so far?
We have been recording for an hour and 38 minutes.
Ah, damn, this isn't as... Well, I'm not very good at gathering. I don't think. My gathering level is like Artisan... Oh no. Is it even Artisan? Yeah, it's Artisan 4. And I do have +2 gathering outfit and a life spirit stone. But dude, I've gotten 2 sharps, 5 hards, 52 dust, and 4 Kaffir stone. Dude. In how long we've been recording. And there's been little breaks here and there because I'm trying... I apologize also everyone for clicking and stuff. Like there's gonna be noises on this recording, so yeah, fuck. Sorry.
Well, also,
wait. So my balance.
Were you life skilling for the entire duration, like since I hit record, or did you start like a portion of the way through?
No, I started like pretty much at the beginning, but it wasn't like non-stop because I kept running out of energy and waiting for my pot cooldown.
Yeah.
I never gather, so I have like 25
Dude, just become
energy
a life
tonics.
Skiller, it's easy.
It's a lot of Kaffir stones. Like I feel like if you do this full time, although how do you get magic lumbering axes? That shit starts to add up.
Alright, so what would you change? One thing you could change right now, do it. Lunar Dash super armor?
No, I think that... I don't know. I don't know why I proposed that question, because I don't have a good answer. I honestly don't. I like, there's so many things I would love to change, like little things here and there. I don't know. I would change, I would love to change something with either Striker and Mystic or Warrior and Valk that would make Frontline a thing again in large scale. Because I think having a frontline is kind of a cool thing, you know?
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say was, I don't know if this counts as one thing, but the more I thought about it, the other day in the Value Pack Community Discord, which you should definitely join, links down in the description below, we were talking about, what were we talking about exactly? We were talking about like things that we would change about our classes specifically if we had like our way, like we could do whatever we wanted with it. And I mentioned that a Berserker passive where you could either get more hidden AP or get more like HP, DR, and evasion at the sacrifice of the opposite. So you could either choose to turn your Berserker, you could not take either of the passes and just be like a normal berserker, or you could specialize into this high DPS berserker or into this high tanking berserker. I said that would be really cool, and you could only choose one of the passive trees to go down. Once you choose one, the other one is locked out. I think if I could change anything about this game, I don't know if this counts as one thing, but doing that for like most, if not all of the classes would be really fun, I think. Like giving them an option to do two different things. And it doesn't have to necessarily be like do more damage versus tank more damage. I mean, it can be more unique than that. I mean, you could come up with a lot of unique things in this game, I think. Like for witches and wizards, you could choose like, oh yeah, you can either do more damage or you can increase your healing and you can increase your support skills, like your E buff, the AP that it gives, and you can increase the effects of speed spell. Like you can become this support at the cost of your damage, right? Like if you're a Musa, you could do something like, I don't know, like movement speed or something. I think giving players more diversity in like the choice of being able to choose what they want to play their class, or how they want to play their class rather, I think that would be super fucking interesting, honestly, and I think it would add a lot to this game.
That can be fun. I think just adding stiffness to tendon cutter would make the game more fun for everybody. If I'm being honest.
So you would choose stiffness to tendon cutter before super armor to lunar dash?
I don't think lunar dash should have super armor. I think it should have frontal guard. Remove the stiffness. No, it should have frontal guard, like, because it used to have frontal guard and stiffness. Remove the stiffness, give it frontal guard, and just speed up the animation when you hit somebody. If it hits somebody, like, it doesn't need to be that long. It's crazy. It's like, imagine Voltaic Pulse when you have Retardando on you. Like, that's how slow the lunar dash animation is when it hits somebody. It makes no sense on Kuno.
Like, tell me this wouldn't be cool. Tell me it wouldn't be interesting to see a ranger have access to two different passive trees. One increases melee AP and one increases ranged AP.
Yeah, although the melee AP would also have to increase DP.
Yeah, I mean, you could balance it out as you wish, but wouldn't that be awesome, though? That's what I'm saying, like, giving players more diversity in how they want to play their class. Like, this is something that would be super small, but I think if you made it, like, have enough of an impact, could mean a lot to the game and a lot to the players and how they play their classes. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that would mean Ranger if you could be fully melee Ranger, honestly. I love Ranger's Awakening. I know I'm the only one in the world that loves it, but I love their Awakening.
Well, you don't like spamming Shotgun and Will of the Wind?
Or Blasting Gust, no.
Yeah, that's the new thing.
Or Tearing Arrow.
Shotgun and Will of the Wind was so 2018. Yeah,
all right.
I think it would be interesting, but whatever.
There's our quick 30-minute tier list.
Yeah, right. For record, before we started this, Frosty said, how long do you think this is going to take? And I said, I can't imagine it taking more than like 45 minutes. We've now been recording for an hour and 45 minutes, so that's good. To be fair, we were like fucking around for the first 5 minutes of this. So the video is only going to be like an hour and 35 or something like that.
That math doesn't add up.
Yeah, whatever. I'm tired. I had a long day at work. All right, this is our tier list. Again, this is just our opinions, and this also is like, if it was just Frosty doing it, it would look a little bit different. If it was just me doing it, it would look a little bit different. So keep in mind, this is like our opinions averaged together. So overall, we had one thing in S tier, which was Archer, and we had nothing in D plus or D. So things to take away: Archer is kind of OP, like all around. It's not super far above. I don't think it's that much above all of the classes we put in A, but it is just all around a really solid class. There is no classes that are straight dog shit. There are classes that we believe are bad overall. There's no classes that are straight dog shit at everything they do. Tamer, Meiwa, Kuno, they're either really good or, you know, at least good to decent in some things that they. So if you're looking at this video and you skip to this part to see what the end result was, this is what it is. And if you're looking to play a class, I mean, none of these classes are bad. They're all viable. It just depends on kind of what you want to do. Maybe in the future we do a specific like large scale or a specific 1v1. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll think about it. Depends on how much people like this one. If people want us to make more of this, like if people want us to do a PvE, if people want us to do a 1v1, if people want us to do a large scale, let us know. If people like this sort of stuff, which hopefully they do, then we'll definitely do another one. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it. Frosty, you got anything?
No. Oh, I guess if I was doing this by myself, Mystic Instructor would be D plus, and everyone else would be S.
Jesus Christ. Alright, whatever. That's the end of the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Join the Discord, and we'll see you next time.